This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
I'm Roby Brock. Welcome to this edition of Talk Business and Politics Daily. We are glad to have you with us. Happy Monday to you. It's the start of week 9 of the Arkansas legislative session. Now, the LEARNS bill, Governor Sarah Sanders' education reform plan, moved one step closer to becoming law today. We'll give you the details on that. And a little bit later, we'll be joined by John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. We talk a lot of politics, including giving a grade to Governor Sanders' politics on education, on this education bill. Stick around for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. Talk Business and Politics Daily is brought to you by Wright Lindsay Jennings Law Firm, Impact Management Group, and these sponsors.
We proudly deliver reliable, affordable, responsible power across Arkansas. But demand for electricity is strained by the elimination of sources we need for always-on reliability. And adding intermittents like wind and solar cannot replace workhorses like coal and natural gas that we all count on. Power must be balanced for your needs and our mission. Reliable, affordable, responsible. We're the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas.
Connection. It's the heart of what we do. It's why we work to better the communities where we live and work. It's why we're expanding to get people connected and create digital equity programs that support affordable internet and digital literacy. We're leaders for positive change. From the way we empower our people, clients, and communities to the way we care for our planet. We live our values every day. We're Cox Communications, and we're pleased to connect with you.
Together we can create an Arkansas that places children and families at the very top of the agenda.
We can create the type of Arkansas that we have always imagined.
Arkansas Advocates as an organization is the glue that can put all those families' voices together.
Welcome back to the program. Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Good to see you as always, sir.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
All right, the LEARNS bill, Governor Sarah Sanders' education reform plan, likely to be signed into law on Wednesday, if my calculations are correct. It's got to go through a Senate committee Monday, the full Senate on Tuesday. She gets to do something with it on Wednesday. She's going to, we'll get a lot of bravado about this being the boldest, most conservative education reform plan in the nation. You're on the record against it, and I want to talk a little bit about some of that in a minute, but let's just talk of the politics of it first. What do you grade her on the politics of keeping her coalition together despite there being a pretty surmountable amount of pushback on this?
Well, it's my old theme with her. She is a political operative, trained, disciplined, and formidable. A superior political athlete, as I've quoted Al Bass is saying, and I think that's evident here. For all my whining about not bringing the bill in and then pushing it too fast. She's going to get law out of it pretty much as proposed. And then she can live with it. The political effect of it has to do, oddly, I think if not many people take advantage of this school choice thing, which is the real sticking point, and rural Arkansas is not largely affected, it'll be better for her. If there's a bedlam and great loss of small town public school identity over the years, maybe when she's gone, it'll be a problem. But her job is to propose legislation and get it passed. And this was you have to give her kudos for doing what she did, I guess.
You going to give her a grade on how well she did this politically? Do you want to give her a report card on this?
Well, I can't bring myself to say A, so I better go B plus. I just can't. I just can't. She's not real accountable about it. She's arrogant about it, but so what? I mean, she's got the policy, and she's not been much about policy. She's about tactics and message. This is 144 pages, a lot of it's policy. And some of it, if they break it out into bills, I would have wholeheartedly embraced the school choice thing. And but she got it done. She got it done. B plus.
B plus.
Best I can do.
B plus, A minus, maybe. How about that?
Yeah, we're gonna go with B plus. I can't. I'm not gonna bring that A into it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Central High students protested at the end of the week. It got some media attention at the end of the day. It really didn't put the brakes on the bill or change anything in the measure or anything. Why does this dissent matter? Does it matter to you?
Well, man, I hate to say this, but I have. Here's how I read the Central High protest. People who agree with me have a general supportive view of public education, a great affinity for Central High's place in history, a great affinity for that school and those kids and the principal and all of that. We and they've spent about 36, 48 hours since that protest happened, buoyant, exhilarated, that the kids at that school stood up for public education, did so eloquently, did so bravely, called attention to it. Meantime, the conservative persons who supported the school choice measure are saying, aha, what did we tell you? There's a public school. They're letting the kids out to take liberal positions, letting them get out of class rather than teaching them. They're outside protesting. And the teachers in there have been encouraging them to do that, liberal indoctrination. So I think in terms of the political fallout, like so many things, this serves both tribes, and I tend to think of our politics as less as parties anymore than tribes. So no effect. Those of us who are encouraged and pleased by it, we pump our fists, and those who say, aha, what did we tell you? And use an example for their purposes, same thing. Kind of a wash. But I'm glad they did it. Good for them. And they didn't miss but a few seconds of learning.
Of indoctrination, right?
Well, depends on how you spin it.
I got a feeling they were probably studying calculus or something when they walked out. At least some of them were. All right, we move next to prison and sentencing reform, but we don't even have a bill yet. I guess, first of all, what are your expectations? What are you hearing from any of your sources as to what might that prison and sentencing reform bill look like? It's clearly not going to be as originally planned, or we would have seen it by now.
Yeah, I was talking prior to the session with the House sponsor, and he was saying, it's pretty much in good form. Well, obviously it wasn't, and that was when the idea was that it was going to be this truth in sentencing, and you're going to have to henceforth serve all your sentence for some of the more serious crimes, and we're going to find some large sum of money to build a big prison. And I don't know what's taken so long. I think I do. One thing at a time. And I think they wanted to run the education, and the education held it up. But what I don't get about this prison thing is you can't really complete that until you know how much money you're going to put into it. How big a prison, how much we're going to spend, and can that be reconciled through the general improvement fund and available funds or revenue stabilization? It's late to be starting a big spending thing by standard, by the standard. But I don't know other than that. What you heard? How much money? How big's the prison supposed to be? Some are for what, 3,000. Others as small as 1,000 or under. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I still hear that 3,000 number is probably in the vicinity, but the money's there to build the prison. That's going to be one-time money from this surplus we've been stocking forever. It's the operations. It is you're going to keep people in prison for longer periods of time with the sentencing reform. You've got mental health things that you want to invest in, and you've got all these specialty courts to invest in. My prediction is we will see some caps on spending like we've done in the education bill. We'll see some of these, well, there's just going to be $10 million for that. When it's gone sort of thing. Because budget's going to be the big challenge, I think, for them on this sentencing reform. That's what I think. So.
Well, I think that's probably true. I think that's good insight from you, as usual.
You drew it out of me. How about that?
Yeah.
So we've got that, and then they still want to do tax cuts, and we still have to do revenue stabilization. I think there's an April 7th, if I'm correct on that, departure date for the legislature, and we're going to throw spring break in there. So we've effectively got about 3 weeks before to wrap up all of this. I see no way that happens in 3 weeks' time. What do you think?
Oh, what would the April 7 be? About the 88th day or something?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think one went 117 days sometime, not so long ago. Yeah, this thing, I know, particularly with taking the days off for spring break. But, this isn't that unusual. Roby, I know you get real interested in the timing and the fact that things aren't getting done, and I know that's important. But these things, legislative sessions, this is the rhythm of all of them, not just this one. They're just silly and slow, and you're waiting around for weeks. And then the last 6 or 8 days, you're trying to pass every appropriation bill in the hopper, and you just churn and it's insane the way they do it. But that's not that unusual. The issue here is that what the things still at this point are in abeyance. Like what are we going? What is how much? And what are the operating costs for the prisons? What is your tax cut bill? Is it actual tax cuts, or will it be a trigger based on some budget levels as we go into the year, as we've done in the past? All that is just out there, and when you get right into it, the session is about education and big concepts. But the first main thing, the foundation, is money. How much we got? How are we going to spend it? And that's totally fluid at the present time, seems to me.
Sounds like you and I'll have many more weeks to talk about whatever it is they're doing under that Capitol dome, don't you think?
I suspect we will, and that's good for business, right? I guess.
It is.
All right.
John Brummett, he's columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, and it's almost lunchtime, so we got to get going, right?
Yeah, I'm hungry. All right. Thanks, bye.
John. We're back with more right after this. Talk Business and Politics Daily is brought to you by Wright Lindsay Jennings Law Firm, Capital Advisors Group, and these sponsors.
One of the things that I really liked about UAMS College of Health Professions is that they set me up for success. I chose UAMS because I felt like it was a great place to work. My grandmother was diagnosed at UAMS for multiple myeloma, and I felt like it would be a great way to pay back the place that helped my grandmother so much. And that's why I went in the healthcare field in the first place, is to help someone just like they've helped my grandmother.
For your education and healthcare needs, choose UAMS.
This is what we work for. The moments you live for. The joy. The heart. The wonder. At Entergy, we're dedicated to powering each moment. Today and for future generations. So we're leading the way with a cleaner, more reliable power grid to power every day. Because these moments matter. We power life. Entergy.
Well, late today, the Senate Education Committee concurred a House amendment into the LEARNS plan, Senate Bill 294. This moves the bill a little bit closer to becoming the law. Tomorrow, it'll be taken up by the full Senate for a final vote. They've already approved it once with 25 votes. I asked Senator Jane English, she is the chair of the Senate Education Committee, if she thinks that this amendment that was put on in the House is likely to change any votes in the Arkansas Senate. The LEARNS plan has dominated the news for the last 2 weeks. You're the chair of the Senate Education Committee. You got to oversee a maybe 6-hour debate over this last week. It's coming back your way. Do you think that the improvements made in the House, the changes made in the House, are going to change any votes in the Senate?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
All right.
It cleared up a lot of things. The amendments, I think, have cleared up, made some technical corrections and a couple of other things, but that's not going to change anything.
Senator Jane English, she's the chair of the Senate Education Committee. You can catch our full interview from this weekend's Capitol View television show at our website at talkbusiness.net. That's all for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.